Hello everybody, Adrian Plass here,
Yes, and Bridget, hello.
and this is number 293 in Sounding the Shadows.
Yeah, that's a big
I
number.
still, we were talking the other day about how we like the fact that at school we learn maths. Do you remember we were saying, did your tables, do they still do them in
I
junior
don't know,
school?
darling. I should think everything's changed, really. You loved your tables, didn't
I
you?
love my tables, and now I always add up the numbers in any larger number to see if they divide by 3, because then I know, no, wait a minute. Yeah, because then I know the whole number will divide by 3.
All right.
I remember being fascinated by it. Anyway, yes.
Yeah, what on earth was that about?
Well, just saying number 293, and
Okay.
I found myself automatically going 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 13,
And does
14. No, it doesn't. So there we are. Anyway. No, I'll tell you something that really struck me this week, and I think it did you as well, is that we somehow came across the Foyle's War series.
Oh, now that is something that people who listen in Australia or other places might well not know.
I'm sure they will,
Really?
actually.
Okay.
Because I think it's sold all over the world. But it's set in wartime. It's about a police detective. I can't remember what his rank is, but he's in charge of the local police station. And they're at a point in the war where the Germans have come right across Europe, and everybody is scared that it's going to happen, perhaps within a day or a week or a month.
Yes, which of course isn't just nothing that we can really tune into. It needed to be a very good series in order for us to be able to feel the fear.
Well, it's brilliantly filmed, and the script is brilliant, and it is excellent, but also it does, to my mind, chime in with where we are now, because there's a growing sense of doom about the fact that the morality of the world seems to be under threat. I keep going back to Trump saying to Zelensky, you haven't got any cards, and Zelensky saying it's not a game of cards. And
actually, we're not talking about the whole world, are we? Because there's a lot of resistance to this, and a lot of attempting to stand up for what is right.
No, I meant the fear is there.
The fear
that if you don't
there.
stand up to it and resist it,
yes,
you'll be in a world where might is right and power is everything.
Well, I think we might already be that, but yes. So
hopefully not. But I was just amazed at how they created that sense or are creating it as we watch it in that series.
It was made a long time ago, wasn't it?
Something that you have with you all the time. That and it was a little like that when the atomic bomb was threatened, in 4 minutes.
Well, of course, that is our
4
experience,
minutes warning.
isn't
That was our experience.
So we didn't have the end of the war experience, but we did have the Cold War fear and the whole thing of the 4 minute warning. 4 minute warning, and what would you take with you, and all the rest of it. Yeah.
Well, for me, it wasn't that, because I used to walk through Rusthall High Street and up what we called the Tarry Path to school.
What did you call it?
The Tarry Path, because it was made of tar. Tarry.
Right.
Up the Tarry Path, which was quite steep, up to the main road at the top, across the main road, down a slope, along a flat piece, and there was the school right next to the church. And at the time when everyone was talking about the bomb, I used to work out how long it took me to get from my house to school. And as I didn't understand the bomb at all, I thought, well, if I can just get to the school, I can get into the school, and I'll be all right. If if I start off and someone says, "There it is, it's the 4 minute warning," in the end I could run into school, and I'd be all right.
Well, I mean, I think if you're talking wartime and before the end of the war, I mean, my brother was born during that time, and my mother, taking him for a walk in the pram, would literally almost run from one shelter to the next. So almost like a game of rounders, to the next post. You'd set off from the one and you'd make your way to the next one quite quickly. Maybe not running, that would be a ridiculous image, but and then you'd be near safety again. I could get to that one. Yes, so points of safety. I mean, what do we have now that are points of safety? Would you say?
What do you mean, physically, or?
Well, I don't know, Adrian, whether I mean physically or whether I mean within ourselves, the points of sort of places where you can feel you can run to, and that's the next I'm sorry, I'm back in my game of rounders again, but the next post, the next place where nobody can get you now until the next time.
Well, I think it's particularly awkward for those who believe stuff, because you're not protected by that in the same way. I mean, it depends what you believe, I suppose, but I've heard just over this week 2 people saying, what do we, when it comes to it, what makes us want to continue? What are the...
Are you talking about in following your faith? Is
yeah,
that what
following
you're
your
talking
faith. What are the basic tenets? What is it that you can rest in or rest on or whatever it is, that will make it all right? And because Christianity is for the last 2,000 years has been about that strange pattern of Good Friday, Worried Saturday, Easter Sunday. You don't get away with reaching Easter Sunday without Good Friday and Saturday.
No.
And that's the experience of many
And then
people
you
in their
can't
lives.
stop there. If you're back to my game of rounders, whether it was Elijah, sort of exhausted and being given a little cake and some rest,
Yeah.
just that was like his post, ready to do the next thing. I mean, we can't stick in Resurrection Sunday, however hard we try, and
No,
however
we
much
can't.
we would like to. There are moments in life that are like that, aren't they? They are, I know in other ways people talk about the mountaintop experience that, when Jesus went up to the mountain. You can't stick in those places. There's sort of, oh my gosh, I've got to carry on. And it's the bit in between that is particularly frightening at the moment, I think. Because
Yeah.
I feel as though we're in the Wild West, let alone on a nice game of rounders.
It's quite interesting, I mean, Peter going up the mountain, or Peter and John going up
Yeah.
the mountain, and suddenly seeing, I don't know how they knew it was him, can't have had a label on, can he? Seeing
Elijah.
Elijah in a little booth with perhaps a little sign saying, "I am Elijah."
No, come on.
But if I'm just thinking, if they said to Elijah, "This is good. You're one of the only 3 people who have been placed up here," and Elijah might say, "I'm as puzzled as you are, to be honest. When I'd done one thing God had asked me to do, and the Queen suddenly was going to murder me, I ran like a chicken."
Yes, to the next safety post.
To the next safety place, and then I had to do something else, and each time in between, I had no idea what would happen next, because it was only when God actually did something and I knew what to do, then I felt totally confident, and afterwards I didn't. And
actually that is the story of the early church, and it's the story of us now, isn't it?
well, I think so.
I mean, so you were talking about Foyle's War and the uncertainty which there was, with all these rumours flying around that actually the Germans had won the war. I mean, that's where this is set, isn't it? That, the Germans have won. They've taken Belgium, they've taken France. We're next. How do we cope with that? Do we accept and give in order to be safe? Physically safe, and in order to
Well, that's
be
what
rewarded.
one whole episode was about, wasn't it? Isn't it better to join Hitler and be part of Hitler when they invade than to continue to
And at the moment, in a way,
try to resist and possibly fail?
and in a way, the world at the moment looking to the US and saying, I think continually, but for our security, isn't it best that we give in? Isn't it best that we let somebody have what they want because they just want it? How much do we resist that?
What can you be thinking about?
Well, we're not. But I mean, you tried to explore that, didn't you, in a story that we mentioned? I think we mentioned it on here. And you said that you thought you might read a bit of it this time.
Well, for those who don't remember, it was simply a story. It's a fictional, obviously a fiction, as you'll hear about me. About me.
Yes, it obviously was fiction. Can we
About
make this
me,
ever
and
so
a
clear?
man knocks on the door and he offers me millions of pounds to stop working as a Christian.
So can we make this
Speaking
very clear
and
yet
writing
again?
stuff.
This is nothing to
It's
do
fiction,
with...
yeah. So, but for me, there was an element of reality in it because, as I said the other day, it was actually an exploration of would I take the money? If I did, why did I? If I wouldn't, why didn't I?
And why did you make it money, do you think? Why not safety?
I think because most people would understand that more quickly. I don't know if that's right or not, but I know lots of people who would think it utterly ludicrous that you take your shaky, rather odd belief system that doesn't work nowadays, is their view, I mean, and you wouldn't take a good sum of money, especially if someone said you can still go to church, you can still do good things, you can use the money
that's
for
what you
charity.
set up in your story, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, you can do all those things. And what it was interested me and still does is what actually was in me that made it possible for me to not say that I was going to give in. And I don't know now whether what I said is out of date as far as I'm concerned. I don't think it is particularly. But I just wanted to read a bit of it, of what I wrote. This chap was called Morpeth, by the way, for reasons that are too complicated to explain. Anyway.
I thought you were going to say for clear and obvious reasons, not for reasons
well,
that are too...
it is.
Anyway, come on then.
Anyway, this is what I wrote as me. Morpeth had been right about me sometimes disappearing down a black hole of doubt. But that was only a small part of the story. I've known a lot of genuine leaping happiness over the years of this journey with Jesus, and that has been as genuine as the despair and the darkness. Grotty times and great times, and everything you can conceive of in between. What that puzzled observer would need to understand is that this thing, this relationship with Jesus, if it exists, of course, if he does, and if all the other stuff I go on about really is true, it makes me laugh, it makes me cry as well. So many times I've wept and wept because I feel things right down there inside the part of me that is always trying to be authentic and stay clean. I weep because of what they did to him, because of what they still do to him, because of what I do to him, because I want him to be closer, because I'm angry with him, because I cannot understand him, because I feel his pain and his yearning and his unstoppable love for hearts and bodies and minds and lives that are broken and lost. My mind may lose its way from time to time, but my heart is definitely a bruised believer.
Gosh, a bruised believer.
Mm.
And allowing that's who you are, whoever you are, is a good place to start, isn't it? Because we've all been bruised to some extent, but some people a great deal more than others. I mean, there's no common sense that can make any sense. The common sense can't make any sense of what happens to some people. Why some people appear to be bashed by life again and again and again. Why whole societies and whole little worlds, actually. I mean, we've been to some places in the world, haven't we, where I was thinking of when we were in Bangladesh, for example, and you've got people who have come to the cities, this particular city we first visited, Dhaka, in order to find a place of safety because they were being flooded up in the hills. So they came hearing that there might be work, all their crops having been destroyed, only to be abused by people who are putting them in horrendous slums and not caring at all. And yet, when we visited there, we met some really beautiful people determined to make a difference. And when we went to Zambia and we were in an area that was riddled with AIDS, we met some unbelievable people. And in particular, I remember a young man who I say a young man, I think he was in his 20s, and he'd taken on 9 children who'd been orphaned.
That's right, yeah.
To look after, despite the fact he had next to nothing. And there are always people like that who, against the flood of the world, what the world is saying, that it's all right to be greedy, it's all right to go for what you want despite everything. There will be people, just people, who are standing like some little Canute against the tide.
And yet there's more in them, because Canute was all about pride. But this is a kind of weird, pugnacious benevolence. There's a something in the heart of people who do that says, this is worth doing.
Yes.
If it fails, it's worth doing. If it succeeds, it's worth doing. But it's worth doing because there is a diamond of a truth in the middle of this.
Yeah.
That is something I am committed to, and that I know what to do now. I remember we heard a song, didn't we, in Sweden once that we loved. We could never find it again. In English, it was "Do the Next Thing."
Do the next thing.
And I think a lot of problems are caused by not doing the next thing. Sometimes the next thing is quite a small thing, but as we all know, it is a cliche that can actually produce a disproportionately amazing result. But yeah, it's very difficult.
But it can push
define,
you to the
really.
edge, and it can push you out into some strange, wild place, even in your normal conversations with people, where suddenly you find that a conversation has gone down a road that doesn't feel right, just feels
What do you mean that it's
lazy
gone off
and
centre somewhere?
that's a much better way of
No, but
putting
is that
it.
what you mean?
I do, yeah. That suddenly there's a shallowness, or and what do you do then? Do you just opt out, or do you? There are continual choices. We were talking about choices, weren't we, last week? Constant choices as to how you stand for integrity, I suppose. How you keep yourself safe. And that's not a rounder's post. It's a safety within yourself, isn't it? That you can live with yourself because you're trying your very best as a Bruised follower to still stand for the truth, whatever the pressures are.
And there are also truths that get bypassed and lost a bit. And one of them, for instance, is within the Christian church, is the community of believers, which sounds slightly ponderous, but it's actually much more than that and much more simple than that. I mean, I used to oftentimes, I think I've told it for years, the story of meeting a friend of mine. We used to meet regularly, and one day as we sat in a pub with a pint each and some chips and tomato sauce, he said, quite in a sort of conversational way, he said, sometimes I don't believe I'm saved at all. I don't usually use that sort of language, but I knew exactly what he was talking about. And but we had a rule when we met, which was no condemnation and no ministry, which is a very good rule, I might add. So I said, oh, right, okay. So I said, the odd thing is that when I look at myself, I'm very unsure about me. When I look at you, I think you're probably all right, but what do you think about me? And he said, well, I've always thought you're probably okay, but I'm really not sure about me. And there's a bit in the Bible that says when believers get together and say the same thing, they're united and God hears them. I think it wasn't as much God here because he knows it, but I thought, actually, we belong together. And the fact that you feel like this and I feel like this means that we belong to each other. And not just that we have some weird wispy way of saying we're all one, but that we are one. So when he says, I feel lost, I take his loss into me. I don't immediately try to change it or to push it out from me because it makes me feel things are breaking down, but that we own each other. And I think maybe, I don't know if that has got a bit neglected or not, but it certainly helped me then. And I think I was thinking too about COVID. That's when the last time that this dread appeared, wasn't it?
That's true.
But,
No, that's true.
yeah.
But I don't remember during COVID that sense of a real moral shift that I can feel at the moment among
that
some
wasn't
leaders,
part of it, no.
whereby it's all right to believe anything, any old thing, so long as I get what I want and I want it now. And I'm glad for the people who are standing against this sort of rubbish. But I think it's in all of us that we want things, and maybe this bruised follower image is a good one, that we'll want to keep following even if we're bruised. We want to keep the truth.
You need
holding on to the
bruised
truth.
believers who will tell the truth about themselves.
Yeah, and we have met
And
some.
be part of us.
Yeah.
And we can be part of
Yeah,
them.
absolutely.
And there is a sort of strange safety in the centre of that somewhere.
Oh, I'm sure
that
there
I
is.
can't define at all. But
No.
I'll learn it.
Anyway, we look forward to speaking to you next week.